the Traffic, Parking, and Transportation Committee of the Metro Council on Tuesday, December 15th. I have recorded that council members Cash and Parker are present in addition to myself. If we are joined by other members, we will make that known. But this is enough of a quorum to get started. And I would accept a motion to approve the following. Pursuant to Governor Lee's Executive Order number 65 regarding electronic meetings, I make a motion that this committee meeting and agenda constitutes essential business of the Metropolitan Council and that meeting electronically is necessary to protect the health, safety, and welfare of Tennesseans in light of the COVID-19 outbreak.
So moved.
Mr. Cash has moved. Mr. Parker has seconded. All in favor, please say aye. I guess I need to do a roll call. Mr. Cash.
Aye.
Mr. Parker.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. All right, we can proceed with it at this point. I do want to give a brief chair's report from the most recent Traffic and Parking Commission. We did review a valet proposal, which I mentioned might come before council, but actually with the staff report and a focus group, it looks like this can all be done with just policy through the Traffic and Parking Commission process. Mr. Parker, you were on the focus group, were you not?
Correct, I was.
Yeah, do you want to say anything about the work of the focus group or anything about where it looks like things might be headed at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to thank the group, all the staff, and the we had members from the private parking world as well who contributed. You know, we sort of came out of the gate with the initial proposal. We thought that was a little, not a proposal, an idea, but we thought it was a little steep in terms of how much it would have changed the valet fees. And what we ended up recommending was sort of something that's very much in line with peer cities, kind of falling right in the middle. And the reason, one of the reasons, and Jeff Hammond can speak to this much more eloquently than I can. He did the lion's share of the work on this, Jeff Hammond with Public Works. One of the reasons that we sort of went for this middle of the road, comparable to peer cities approach is because we see the likelihood of the Park Smart rollout, changes to the parking system and some other things that are really going to have an impact on revenue, we anticipate. So what we came up with is somewhat agnostic of those changes. It would kind of remain steady through those changes. So we think we've arrived at a good place. I know that there's been a lot of concern from some of the downtown businesses, especially who, particularly in this upcoming calendar year, would have really, due to the reduced business activity around COVID-19, would have really had to make some tough decisions around this. And, it's already a considerable change. So I think that I was at the Traffic and Parking Commission meeting the other day, and it sounds like what everyone has agreed on is to kind of push this off for a little while until we have an idea of where we're going to be, a year from now, 6 months from now, et cetera. And I think that's prudent. I mean, just, I think it's very clear that some changes need to be made, but I also think that now is not a great time to force some, hard decisions on business owners specifically. So I think that we've ended up in a reasonable place. And Chair, if you'd like to chime in as well, I know you were involved in the discussion on Traffic and Parking Commission.
Yeah, and just by way of background, this whole subject came up when I joined the commission representing this committee just over a year ago. The chair, John Green, who's been a longtime member, I think, felt it was important to take the commission members sort of on a tour of sort of our powers and obligations, and went through some of the areas of the Metro Code of laws that we are empowered and have authority. And valet was one of those, and we learned a lot about how basically this is just one of those areas that got set in the 90s and never got touched again. And it had come up a few times because some of the valet stands were actually removing parking meters at a time when we knew that, basically every amount of potential revenue was increasingly important to the city. While there was some frustration in the delays we experienced along the way in terms of getting this report, I'm very glad to have a proposal on hand that we can chew on. We are going to go back out and do some additional public engagement on this. But I think overall, to your point, Councilmember Parker, I do think we are moving quickly in a good direction. And my guess is this will probably not even start to get implemented until late 2021 and probably won't affect permit holders until 2022. But I do think it is important movement, and I'm glad we're taking some action there. The only other thing that came out of the commission that I think is worth comment on is in Public Works Committee, we deferred a piece of the CORD pilot program dealing with cameras. And one thing that came up in the commission is that is not actually required for the implementation of the pilot program. It just gives potentially some better data that's easier to capture. I'm going to try to get that resolution re-referred to this committee because I think it's relevant since some of the CORD stuff has come both through the commission and probably should be reviewed by this committee. So that's all else I have on the chair's report. Unless anybody has any other further discussion. Actually, I do see Mr. Cash, your hand is up.
Yeah, thanks. And I appreciate all the good work that's taken place on the valet issue and coming up with a plan. And I was in and out of the Traffic and Parking Commission meeting yesterday afternoon. And Councilman McConnell, I appreciate your deferring to one item that was on that related to my district that was on there because of this. I guess I'm wondering if we got an answer to the question, like if we delay this implementation for months or close to a year, and we do have valet stands that are permitted and removing meters. To what extent can we recoup the loss? Or, and I believe you asked this question yesterday, but I'm not sure that I solid answer to.
It's a good question, and the answer I heard, and we'll obviously follow up on this, was that the way the new policy is structured, you're sort of in a valet zone, and basically if the valet stand is in an area that would be eligible for Metro to put parking meters, then at the time of permit issuance or reissuance, you would then apply that formula appropriately. So my sense is that it's not about, a vested scenario. It's about, are you operating the valet stand in an area that would otherwise have curb value by virtue of being metered? And I think that's actually it's a really good way of evaluating it, because so many of the conversations we're having right now in this domain are about curb management, and I think that's an appropriate outlook. So it's a great question, and thank you for raising it again.
Yep, thank you.
Chair, if I may.
Yes.
As we discuss the timeline of implementation in the study group, our anticipation and just through regular practice is that folks are going to apply for these permits early in the year, and that they would be active for a year. So essentially, we have delayed the implementation. So we anticipate that just in a practical sense, most people will apply for permits under the existing fee structure, and that fee structure will apply through the calendar year of 21. And then if these changes go into effect in time for the new permits that folks would apply for in the beginning of 22, that's when they would take effect. So I don't think we have any practical opportunity to say jump in halfway through 21 and change the fee structure in a practical sense. Now, if someone neglected maybe a new valet permit late in 21 would be applicable, I'm not exactly sure about that.
Yeah, we'll continue working with legal on that, but the consideration is deferred out till March, so we've got some time. But I do think we probably want both council and the commission to have some certainty about that, because I have a feeling we will see more valet applications emerge in the period where we have not applied it. So anyway, great questions, gentlemen. And again, bottom line here, though, is I don't expect that policy, at least in its first iteration, to wind up having full council consideration, but the commission probably will, I suspect, adopt a policy update of some kind after we go through the public input process a little bit further. All right, I'm going to move us to the agenda if there are no further objections or discussion. Okay. We have first on our agenda, we are under resolutions. We've got RS 2020-656 expresses the endorsement of Metro Council for the Metro Nashville Transportation Plan. There are 3 proposed amendments. Item 1 is by Councilmember Murphy. It has been discussed and moved in other committees. I would be content to entertain a motion here to at least allow us to discuss it and potentially apply it.
So moved.
All right.
Seconded.
All right. I don't think Councilmember Murphy is with us in this committee, but I'm happy to give you my interpretation of it because it did get discussed before being deferred. This basically adds a recital calling for, if the plan is adopted, basically calling for a charter amendment to establish a Department of Transportation, which is a concept that the plan does give voice to. I think it is important for us to be, to have a timeline under which we're making these considerations, and 2, that I think a consolidated Department of Transportation would actually be a very good thing for the city of Nashville. Some of our peer cities that have gone this route, frankly, do a much better job of infrastructure coordination with planning activities, and they are better at delivering multimodal infrastructure. So I'm pleased that Councilmember Murphy brought this amendment. Other discussion on this one? Mr. Cash, I see your hand up. I don't know if that's new or old.
I think it's old, but I will jump in and agree with your assessment. I think the Office of Transportation makes a lot of sense. I guess, and I agree that we need to have public input. I guess this, kind of puts a little uncertainty into the process and how it plays out, but I'm in support of the amendment.
Great. Thank you.
Chair.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. This is Councilmember Parker. Is there, has there been discussion about sort of if the Department of Transportation would require a charter amendment and thus a vote from the public, or if it could be accomplished administratively?
I think that's sort of what the nature of this is. We've had some preliminary discussion of this because this idea has been floated in one way or another in public forums since Nashville Next was discussed and eventually adopted. I think right now there was a division of transportation suggested for public works a few years back that never got really off the ground for staffing reasons. And planning took over some amount of that, but now we effectively have no transportation planners in either of those departments. There's a small planning department housed at WeGo Public Transit, but I think the idea here is that discussion, right? Could or should this be done administratively, or could or should this be done in a way that fully considers it? I'm okay with this being in here because it's really just expressed as a recital, but I think what I'd like for the next 3 years to do is deliver us to that point where it's not like we're just kind of stumbling our way into a few transportation planners at Public Works, but rather that we have had the full kind of, reform-based, overhaul-oriented discussions about what a municipal Department of Transportation should be for a consolidated city-county government. And I think that to me is ultimately why I support the amendment. Anything else, Mr. Parker?
No, Chair, thank you.
Okay. All right. That takes us through everybody who is even eligible for comment here. So I will call for a vote on the Murphy amendment. Mr. Cash.
Aye.
Mr. Parker.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. The amendment passes 3-0. And hang on while I record the votes. Okay, amendment number 2 is my amendment. This basically, well, first I'll wait to see if we can get it considered for the bill.
This is Councilmember Parker. I move the amendment.
Okay. Mr. Cash, care to second?
Yes, second.
Okay, great. So by way of discussion and background here, I offered this amendment. It is done collaboratively with the administration. You can see from the exhibit, it is actually an update to the master document with the plan. So it is, the edits are already available in a version of that. It is offered as a new exhibit. Basically gives visualization of the West End corridor from downtown to 31st and kind of expresses anticipatory guidance for what a high capacity investment might be there. I was concerned when the plan was proposed that we were still basically operating in a posture of concerns about potential opposition from that corridor. But as I've talked to stakeholders on and adjacent to that corridor, I think the level of support, especially for that stretch before you get to any sort of residential, purely residential segments of West End as you go out toward where it becomes Harding, there is an actually growing by the week amount of support for more rigorous transit options there. This just opens the door a little more fully for the plan to consider those. And I think it's an important amendment to the plan. Very grateful to the administration for working with me collaboratively on it. And I would request both of your support for that. Happy to entertain discussion.
Yeah, this is Councilmember Cash. As a councilman whose district borders West End, I echo what you've said, and it like this plan, it's not where everything is set in stone exactly with specific details, and obviously something major should have some public input to it. But I think there is support for that, and I will remind folks that we're considering the AMP along that corridor that we, in anticipation of grant requirements, we upzoned the corridor there to increase, future density, yet we didn't get the AMP. So some actions have already been taken for it to work as a major transit corridor. I appreciate the amendment that clarifies and adds the map that for the readers of the document. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Cash. All right, any other discussion? All right, I will call for a vote. Mr. Cash.
Aye.
Mr. Parker.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, and Amendment 2 is on the bill. Amendment 3 is Councilmember Roten's amendment to for a couple of projects. The plan goes district by district and kind of enumerates some of those projects. And I guess I would entertain a motion. I know Mr. Roten is here to describe the amendment. If we can get a motion to get it on the floor for discussion, I'll be happy to recognize Mr. Roten.
This is Councilman Cash. I so move.
Mr. Parker, care to second?
Parker seconds.
All right, we've got a motion and a second, and Mr. Roten, I will recognize you for the sake of some background here.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Councilmember Parker, Councilmember Nash, this is rather simple, and I don't want you guys to overthink this too much. I was quarantined for several weeks when I was supposed to meet with the administration, and then last week I had court and did not get to meet with them. There are two projects that they did not put in District 14 that are very important, that at least they be in the plan, and they did not put them in the plan, and I want to explain to you what they are. The first is the widening of Central Pike. Central Pike is a state road from Old Hickory Boulevard all the way out into Wilson County. The Improve Act funded the widening of Central Pike from Old Hickory Boulevard all the way out to Wilson County. And that is going to be widened. However, from Lebanon Pike, sorry, I don't know if that was me or if that was somebody else. From Lebanon Pike to Old Hickory Boulevard, it's under Metro, the auspices of Metro. Portions of that have been widened, portions of it have not. I want to make sure that this is on the District 14 list. It's been on the capital improvement budget since 1974. It is the oldest CIB project, and you wonder, 1974, yes, almost 50 years. So we are definitely hoping to actually get this funded sometime before I die. And I don't know when that might be, but we're trying to get it on there, at least keep it in front of the administration. There's an old bridge on that road that is really needing some work. So that's one of the issues. The other project is right now there's one stop downtown of the Music City Star. There are only 2 stops in Davidson County. There are 4 in Wilson County. I have 5 miles of commuter rail in District 14, and there are no stops in District 14. And I just watch the train go by every morning. I hear the whistle blow, but I can't get on it anywhere in my district. So we are just trying to keep this in front of the administration and making sure that when they start, if they're going to start putting money into the Music City Star, that they start looking in Davidson County, the RTA does, for stops to help out different portions along Davidson County. So that's the 2. I'm just wanting to make sure that they are on the list of District 14 since I didn't get to meet with the administration and to keep them in front of it. I would appreciate a positive vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roten. I'm labeling this the Let Roten Ride amendment. Any discussion on the amendment? All right, seeing none, I will call for a vote. Mr. Cash?
Yes, aye.
Mr. Parker?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Mr. Roten, your amendment is going to be recommended by the Traffic, Parking, and Transportation Committee.
Thank you, members of the committee. Thank you, Chair.
All right, can I get a motion on the bill as amended?
Councilmember Parker moves the bill as amended.
Councilman Cash seconds. Yes,
all right, great. Okay, any discussion on the bill as amended? Or sorry, the resolution as amended. All right, Chair will just say briefly that I'm pleased to see the Cooper administration carrying forward the important conversation about transit. I do think transit is closely linked with people's opportunities to secure affordable housing. As we offer people more mobility options, we can actually meaningfully lower the household cost of transportation, which is actually in Nashville these days on par with the raw cost of housing, whether rent or mortgage. So I think it's important for us to carry this forward. I do think eventually we will want to revisit the discussion of dedicated funding, but I do think this plan offers us a starting point. I hope that over the next 3 years, we will see operating budgets and capital spending plans reflect the items in the plan, and that we do start to make some significant investments. And with that, I will call for a vote on the bill or the resolution as amended. Mr. Cash?
Aye.
Mr. Parker?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, and the Traffic, Parking, and Transportation Committee will recommend endorsement of the Metro Nashville Transportation Plan. All right, we will move on to bills on second reading. I'm not going to worry about a consent agenda because I know we're going to have to defer at least one of these. Bill 2020-492 got a 2-meeting deferral in Public Works, so I think there is a mandatory referral still underway on this bill. So that is Bill 2020-492 amends the Metro Code pertaining to weight restrictions on certain roads. I would entertain a motion to defer 2 meetings.
Councilman Cash so moves.
Parker seconds.
Okay. All right, we've got a motion and a second to defer 2 meetings. Any discussion? All right, all in favor of a 2-meeting deferral? Mr. Cash?
Aye.
Mr. Parker?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Bill 2020-492 will be deferred for 2 meetings. BL 2020-556 renames a portion of Clover Street off 44th Avenue North to Community Court. I don't know if Councilmember Taylor is here. I don't see him on the guest list, but I know we do have, I'm on the bill, so I can move it. I have not seen any reason not to go ahead and move this forward. So for the purposes of committee, I will go ahead and move this. Oh, sorry, I see Mr. Cooper's hand.
That actually has to be deferred.
Okay.
I think it's 2 meetings because the ECD board hasn't considered it yet.
Okay, great. Thank you for the guidance. In which case, I'm glad again that we did not try a consent agenda here. I would entertain, and Mr. Cooper, is 1 meeting deferral sufficient, you think?
I think that's fine. I think on the floor it'll probably be 2, so it doesn't matter.
All right. Well, I would accept a motion to defer for 1 meeting, and we'll see how far it gets deferred on the floor.
Is Councilman Cash so moved?
Mr. Parker, care a second?
Parker seconds.
All right, great. We've got a motion and a second for a 1 meeting deferral. Mr. Cash?
Aye.
Mr. Parker?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, and that will bring us to our final bill for consideration today. BL 2020-557 abandons alley number 922 right-of-way from Wedgwood Avenue northward to Blakemore Avenue. I do have a letter of support from the sponsor. I would accept a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion and a second. Mr. Cash?
Aye.
Mr. Parker?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. That makes us recommend BL 2020-557 for approval. And I will just review the agenda real quickly. And that concludes our business. We are finishing with 2 minutes remaining. Thank you both for your participation. That concludes the Traffic, Parking, and Transportation Committee for this evening.
Thank you, Chair.